this, which would explain everything.
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
I hope you're okay. Well, maybe you. Good afternoon and welcome to the Glens Falls Board of Public Safety. It's August 14th, 2024. We'll call the meeting to order. First up, we always offer public comment. If anybody from the public would like to address the Board of Public Safety, I'd ask you to please come up to this front area. We don't have a podium, but come up to the front area and let us know your name and your address.
Hi, I'm Martin Morell. I live at 7 Montcalm Street in Ward 4. I have a concern and a question.
Sure.
My concern, and it was brought up a little earlier by this gentleman showing pictures of tornado damage. This is apparently something we have to be concerned about now, since I think in July there were 23 or 24 reported tornadoes in New York State, just last month. And I want to suggest that, and I don't know if this is the forum, but maybe you can direct me or take the ball.
Sure.
But tornado sirens. We have fire stations all over. They all have sirens. I just want to suggest that we consider a coordinated program, maybe Warren, Washington, Saratoga counties, but I thought I'd start here, to educate the public about what the tornado warning siren is. It's a long blast and then a brief pause, and then it picks up again, and it goes on until the danger is over. So that's my concern. And my question is, a number of cities, Schenectady, Albany, Kingston, I believe, have either already or are in the process of reducing their speed limits from 30 to 25 miles per hour. And I wondered if that's anything that has been discussed here for the city of Glens Falls.
No, it hasn't, but it's certainly something that the Board of Public Safety could do to make a change like that. It's all those kinds of changes are determined by the New York. Is it a federal or a New York State? Our travel,
municipal guide?
Municipal,
It's federal.
It's federal, so a federal municipal guideline. It's a book that we have to abide by. So if you were going to look at lowering the speed limit in a particular area, or add a stop sign, or create, say, a new street light, it all is determined by, for that kind of thing, you do a study of if it has this much traffic at this intersection, and you had either this many accidents or this many complaints, and so on and so forth. So we can definitely take a look at it, and it's worth considering.
I'd like to suggest it, and I'd be all for it.
Sure.
I understand it can't be lowered on state routes and things like that, but
Right.
In other neighborhoods, I think it would be a great idea. We have so many more pedestrians, cyclists,
We certainly do.
e-bikes, and,
Yeah, and more as we
Yes.
develop. It's funny though, Glens Falls has not ever recovered from our heyday when we had I think 18 or 19,000 people population in our heyday, but we certainly have enough development and traffic that as downtown gets busier and busier, it certainly feels like there is certainly enough concern, and will only get busier as we prosper. I don't think we'll ever reach the 19,000 mark again, because 73% of the households in the United States don't have any children, and the average household has just over one kid per household. And when the population was 19,000, the average household had 4 children, three and a half. So I don't think, with our housing stock, the ability, no matter how many apartment programs you pull in, you're going to be able to make up for that. In New York State, it's 73% of the households now have no children, and across the country, 74% of households have no children. So, but it's always worth looking at. So thank you.
Okay.
All right.
And where else could I go on this tornado siren idea?
There is a county, Anne Marie Mason is the head of Warren County Emergency Services, and so they look at emergency plans. That's what we follow and work with them every 5 years. We do a full comprehensive plan from flood prevention, washouts. We had a lot of interactions with them during that day. Even though we didn't have a tornado, we had the highest winds in New York State at 87 miles per hour. We had higher winds than the tornado area in was it? Yeah. Oh well, did they actually have actual tornado? Because I know they did in central New York, outside of Rome, and so, but still, those with the speeds didn't match our 87 mile an hour winds, but still. So Anne Marie at Warren County Emergency Services. Yep, okay. She's great. So,
great.
All right, okay. We still look at it too. I would assume we had, when I was a kid, the noon whistle had you could still get the noon, and that's the warning system, right? And I think most communities have taken them down. I don't remember, but I believe most communities have. But it's still worth having a conversation about.
But the sirens are there. I mean, I hear them all the time.
We don't still do noon. No,
not the noon whistle.
Our neighbors do.
Our neighbors.
Yes, our neighbors do.
And so, do we know if like our neighbors that have those sirens still there?
It's not set up to do that.
It's not, but they do notice the noon. Wow.
Yeah, there's one I can hear in the word for, and I think it comes from West Glens Falls.
Oh, no kid?
Yeah.
That's fantastic. So it would come from the fire thing, so.
West and
Yeah.
south. It falls across the street.
And you do know for a fact that they don't do tornado warnings at all anymore?
A lot of it now, if you have an iPhone or any of the other type of phones, just make sure your app is on for alerts. weather
Not
alerts,
everybody has
and
Yeah.
that'll come over on that as well, but you can also get it set up through your home phone that will alert you to a home phone message as well.
Great. Yeah, I did get that. I was actually getting a haircut when this all happened, and it went off, and it was dark. Anyway,
It was dark.
Hey, thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Was it
Thank you.
4 weeks ago, was it?
It
Yesterday?
seems like forever, doesn't it?
Yeah, wasn't that
We had
long?
17 streets closed. So, is there any other public comment? Not seeing any other public comment. Peter, I'm sorry to bother you. I apologize. I just want to see if there's anybody online that has any public comment. No. There you go. Thank you. I'm sorry to interrupt that. It's saying hello. So if there's no other public comment at this moment, third, we have a resolution to approve the minutes of the June 12th and June 25th and July 2nd and July 24th special meetings of the Board of Public Safety as attached. Do we have a motion?
I'll move that.
Do we have a second? Second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. Number 4 is a resolution to approve the minutes of the July 10th, 2024 meeting of the Glens Falls Board of Public Safety. If you have any questions or changes? If not, we have a motion to approve.
So move.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yes, ma'am, did you have a question?
Hi, did I miss an opportunity to speak on another subject?
Sure, well, you want me to come back up to, yeah, please come on back
I thought they were
up.
next, so.
Oh, I got you, you were waiting, that's great.
Okay.
Did you gentlemen need no, there we go. So come on up, oh, sure. So let's open back up our public
I'm
comment.
sorry.
Sure. No, that's good. What's your name?
My name is Moira Minnick, and first I want to tell you, Mayor Collins, that Jackie and I went to school.
Oh, you did?
Kindergarten to graduation.
At Jackson Heights,
Yes,
did you go?
and started at St. Mary's.
Very
So
good.
we were together the whole way.
Oh, that's
So,
fantastic.
and he knew me as Maury Dual.
Thank you.
But
Thank you.
just wanted to say hi.
Awesome. And so, I'm sorry, your address for us, just for the record.
Sure,
Sorry, apologize.
221 Glen Street.
All right,
It
Go
is
ahead.
Apartment 211.
fantastic.
So I've been living at this address for the last 11 months. Previous to that, I was at my parents' home. My dad had Alzheimer's the last 2 years. That's all been resolved. And then 30 years previous in Columbus, but a Glens Falls native. I moved into the apartments over Spot Coffee 11 months ago, and my back windows look out over City Park, which I thought would be a plus. It is not. It is a negative. The amount of fighting and yelling and screaming and kind of low-level crime that goes on is louder than my closed windows, my air conditioning, and my TV. Since I've been there, I've called the police 3 times, and I've probably gone over to the station myself 3 times. This was, the first incident was a fight about 1 in the morning that escalated to, the winner of the fight telling the other one he would be happy to kill him. I hear this stuff almost daily, and I kind of just wait to see if it resolves, and if it doesn't, if it escalates, then I call the police. And the police responded to that. The next time was 2 women fighting. It was about 2 o'clock in the morning by the time the police came, which they did quickly. A male was assaulting a female on the ground. And then the third time was, and this is all through like the past 6 weeks, there was a very large group of people in the park, and I was returning a library book in the bin right there, and it almost became physical. And it was probably 10 to 12 people there, and it's screaming and yelling and threatening. And I looked, and there was a young family right next to them that were grabbing their kids. They'd been sitting on a blanket and getting out of there. And I made the mistake of saying, "You guys, there's kids right there." Well, that all turned on me. I was told I was going to get the shit beat out of me, that if they came any closer, they would kill me. On and on, to the point where I just walked to the police station. I didn't even walk towards my door. I thought about getting the body cam for that because the police were great. They walked me back, but I thought they were going to be assaulted. And they had to leave because that was the day of one of the e-bike accidents. And I talked to that officer just by chance after that incident. He said he was getting ready to arrest this guy who was threatening him. I thought he was going to punch him right in the face. So that particular gentleman saw me walk behind the cops. Now, when I walk through City Park, if he's there, he screams to anybody who will listen to him that called the police on me. He harasses me. So at this point, just to sum up, I don't walk through the park anymore, unless I do by habit, because I'm 66 and I might just take a right turn and go down there. But if I do that, I have the video on my phone. I have pictures of people smoking meth. I have, overdoses where I've asked them to make a well check and they needed help. And yesterday, I don't know how many police officers were there yesterday afternoon. I was thinking about calling myself because it was so loud and it was turning physical, but I don't know if they heard it or somebody else called, but they had responded to an incident over there. So, I don't want to just complain. You know, I will say I have an emotional investment. I love Glens Falls. My grandfather was a city councilman, you know, and I think of the bandstand as kind of the heart of Glens Falls. It really represents Glens Falls, you know.
Sure.
And, you know, it makes me sad to see there's like daily public urination on there, on the library. You know, I go out and pick up the trash at least once a week, and it's everything under the sun that you can imagine there. I wish that maybe the park could close at dusk.
Yep.
I wish that the penal code for disturbing the peace could be enforced, because I'm not just talking about homelessness. That's a whole big problem. That's got a lot of moving parts. It's bigger than us in here, you know?
Sure.
And this past summer, the same people that basically live there, you know, I got them waters, ice cream, iced coffees all summer because it was so dang hot. And most of them are, you know, I couldn't be angry at them. I couldn't think of anything worse than being homeless. I'm talking about transients. I'm talking about people that use it to meet and hang out all day, and just the level of crime that accompanies that.
Great.
So I guess that's just, oh, and maybe a camera that's, I don't know if you have anything that is near to the bandstand, because that sidewalk around there is ground zero. And that would be great. And if you could somehow close it, even just a gate might be a little bit stronger, you know, suggestion,
Close the
and just
gate of
the
what?
change.
Sorry?
Going up the steps to
Oh,
the
the gazebo.
bandstand. Currently, it's just the chain,
Yeah.
which is kind of like a suggestion. I mean, maybe if it was even just some kind of gate, it might deter, you know?
Yep.
So just to finish, I want to commend the police department, because any exchange with them has been great. They've been really supportive, and actually one of the officers was the one who suggested that I come here. So
Fantastic.
that's it. Thanks, Glens Falls.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, don't
I
go.
will.
Just not last night's council meeting, but 2 weeks before, the city council did just pass a law that makes, so for one reason or another, when the law for closing down our parks at dusk was created back in probably the 1960s or 70s, it was all parks closed at dusk except City Park. So we just changed that. We have just met this past week with the company that StoreTech, who we buy our cameras at. We just ordered 2 more cameras for the gazebo itself, because the cameras that we have at City Hall are impeded, even though they go. One of them goes in the direction of the gazebo. The trees don't allow it to have a clear shot, so we're putting 2 more cameras there. I do have some suggestions for you, though. Please stop buying iced coffee for the folks that are hanging out there. And second, I need you to actually do me a favor and call the police more. Anytime that somebody's raising their voice and yelling, I need to do it. I don't need you to do it in front of them. I don't want you to. I also want you to, even though I do appreciate what you're doing, I do the same thing, but I think it's a little different. So when you see them, please don't engage with them. If you've got any concerns, get around. Please don't do that again. I don't want you to be a target of anything. Please call us. The chief can also give you the sergeant's desk if you prefer during the day to call that number. But I can't guarantee you that would be somebody to answer it immediately, but you can leave a message. If it's at all any kind of emergency, any kind of a fight, please just call 911. Please call. I do appreciate that you shouldn't have to.
I feel like I could call every day.
And that would be great. I mean it. We need it. There are too many people that misunderstand that taking the video. We have people that when approached by the young kids that we had were taking videos and posting on Facebook. We've had tons of people that will see something of concern and they make a post and say, isn't this terrible? We need to do something about it. I would like them to actually do something about it, which is call us, because then we can address it. And we can also have a record of these things so that we, as we go and visit this person third, fourth, fifth time, we can address it. And I do appreciate, though, that at least you are, well, first of all, thank you for coming here to the Board of Public Safety. Second, I wanted you to know the actions we're taking to address this concern. It's concerning us as well.
Great.
And there are more homeless people. There are more, I don't know how many of these folks are transients. It's tough. For the first time ever, we actually hired, just so you're aware, a social worker to work with our police department a year and a half ago, and it's been fantastic. But we're learning more and more. We have families that are right now in Glens Falls homeless. It was not that way before. I would believe that if we took statistics 20 years ago, that we'd find that most of the homeless people we had weren't women, they were men, and they were probably younger or older people at thing. And now we're getting all ages. Men and women are both homeless in large numbers, and people with kids are homeless. We've had homeless folks camping out down at Haviland's Cove. We've had them down by the river and other places. We had a group that camped, set up an entire tent site on the canal, on the feeder canal trail, and so. It's happening. I think when I was a kid, the only time that I recognized this is we had some people that were homeless living in Coles Woods that I remember. I don't believe they were in the thing. And so they seem to be more desperate. There's a wide range of this. Is not a simple, oh, it's all because of this. It's not only, oh, we've got a drug problem. We certainly do. But it's, oh, well, it's because cost of living's too high. Their mental illness is gone. I think all those things are true, and they're growing in Glens Falls as they are in other places. I think we're very lucky that that this hasn't been a huge problem from us in the past. I don't know how to say that in a better way. We are addressing it, and we need your phone calls. We need them all the time. Don't wait. You hear two people starting to scream at each other, call us sooner, and we'll send somebody over there and we'll stop it before it gets worse. We've had some crime there, day and night, and we need your help. All right.
Can I ask you quickly,
Sure.
Is there a dedicated foot patrol for downtown? I know there used to be a long time ago.
Well, we
maybe?
have foot patrol all the time, but it's not just in our downtown, and we haven't, one of the areas, so from when we were kids to today, our police department has not grown, but neither has our population. But yet the number of people at risk and homeless has certainly grown. The number of overwhelmed not-for-profits in our community is growing. The number of incidents of mental illness and drug addiction has certainly grown. And the number of employees across in the city in general has been reduced. We had faced some very difficult time in the early 2000s, 2000 to say 2005 to 2008, and we cut almost 40% of our DPW. We cut our entire cemetery. We had a separate cemetery department that had 7 people and a superintendent. That's no longer in existence, right? There was a day, remember when we were younger, you'd put out the clippings in front of your house, and we was an entire crew that did nothing but clean up that stuff. There were 2 crews that laid cement and now go out to contract with that. They're not employees. So we've cut our workforce, but our police department, thank goodness, was not cut, but it has not grown either. And that's, we did grow a social worker, and that's a huge help. And we're making more referrals into an overwhelmed system. But it's
I will
not
throw
every
in
answer.
that I have to park as part of my rent in the parking garage at the insurance building. That's a whole other
Yeah,
scene.
sure.
I mean, I have seen it all in there.
Yeah.
I've had people asleep underneath my car when I've gone to work at 7:30 in the morning, and I'm not sure I don't understand that building only because parking is forever an issue down here. And a full day of employees there is only half of the first level. The rest of it's empty all the time.
Yeah,
So,
sure. It's a privately owned building, and
Right.
what that is your landlord has leased out those
Sure.
spaces.
I'm-
Yeah, sure.
I'm just pointing that out. But those upper 2 floors always have
Empty.
people in
Yeah.
them. But they always have people in them.
Oh, people in it?
Yes.
Yeah, well, I think that you need to let those people know that, right? The people that own that building, because we can't, until they call us and ask us to address it, I don't know that we can.
Okay, all right.
All right?
They do have security, I know, at least inside that building.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
We've had people that live outside the building that were having problems with people inside the building too. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, well, I know people sleep there, and I've seen it all
Yeah.
there too. But,
Yeah, we had one gentleman hook up a propane, was cooking marshmallows on the bandstand, right? We're moving that. It's a never-ending thing, and we need your help.
Okay.
All right?
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Nice to see you.
You was-
Nice to see you. Thank you for coming back,
Sure.
right? A lot of us did, right?
Yes.
Thank you. Do we have any further public comment? If not, we'll close the public comment period. Anybody online, Peter, that wants to
Well, there is
comment?
no one to speak.
Great. So, number 4 is a resolution to approve the minutes of the July 10th, 2024 Board of Public Safety meeting. We did that one already, sorry. 5 is a resolution to approve the Glens Falls 32nd Annual Adirondack Corvette Club Vet Fest weekend to be held on September 9th, 2024, in the city park from 6 a.m. to 5 p.m. Will be contained to the park with the request of the closing of down Maple Street from Bay to Ridge streets for food trucks, and they're asked for use of traffic cones to mark off where the trucks will be parked, ensuring that they will be able to park and vend there. The event was last held in 2023. The organizer is expecting 100 plus attendees. The event organizer has been contacted and is currently awaiting a COI to cover the event. And so this request is to be contingent upon the event organizer providing proof of insurance for the city prior to the event date. Do we have any questions about the event?
I move approval.
A second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. 6 is a resolution to approve the 51st Annual Adirondack Balloon Festival to be held September 19th from 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. at Crandall Park in a manner consistent with how the previous festivals have been held. This is a city-held event that will reside on city insurance. Do we have any questions, comments about the event? We've added our block party to that event and added entertainment later to keep people there instead of bringing them down to a separate block party that used to happen in our downtown. And so we're hoping you'll help us extend that to the 10 p.m. Time. We did the same thing last year. Yeah. So, questions? Do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. 7 is a resolution to approve the yearly Hogan, Sarah, Wilkinson, and Borges Block Party to be held at 139, 13, and 16 Horicon Avenue, September 7th, 2024, between the hours of 3 p.m. and 8 p.m. on Horicon between Glen and Crandall Streets, closed. The party was last held in 23. Approximately 200 people are thought to be attending. The barricades will be dropped off on Friday the 6th and picked up on Monday the 9th. The event holder has been contacted by the city to discuss safety and how to man and erect the barricades. Any questions?
I move approval.
Do we have a second?
A second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. 8 is a resolution to approve the Nemur Jeep Trunk or Treat event to be held at Crandall Park on October 27th, 2024, between the hours of 11 a.m. and 2 p.m. The event will utilize the main field and the bandstand, with only request to the DPW being to open the bathrooms and have the power turned on the clamshell. The event is expected to main field and the bandstand. Crandall Park. This is not the collaborative's trick or treat
No,
event.
no.
Shame on me. New event,
No.
right? Bandstand with the request to the DPW to open the bathrooms and have the power turned on the clamshell. The event is expected to have up to 500 attendees. Was held last in 2023. It's not that new. I apologize.
This is really a second.
Do we a second year in event? Any questions about the event? Do we have a resolution to approve, or a motion to approve, excuse me?
Motion approved.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Any opposed? Thank you. Motion passes. 9 is a resolution to approve the annual 2024 Civic Center Foundation 5K Thunder Run Walk to be held in October 13th, 2024, from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. in a manner consistent with how it has been run in previous years. The organizer feels that 150 people will attend. Glens Falls Fire Police Department requested to get the race started off safely in the traffic circle, and then the race will run on its own. With volunteers to man the intersections, the map is included. Any questions? Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you so much. Let's see. 7, 8, 9, 10. Did I miss something here? No. 10 is a resolution that the Board of Public Safety hereby recommends the Glens Falls Common Council to amend City Code to Section 208-58, parking prohibited at all times, and not to allow on-street parking at Holman Street on the west side due to limited access for emergency vehicles. Any questions about this resolution? Any
No,
thoughts?
Mayor, I could see the need for no parking signs. It's a very narrow street.
Great.
I forget, was that curb not there before?
I'm sorry?
Say that.
It's brand new now.
There's
Say
no-
it again?
Was there anything there along the curb?
No,
No?
never.
New curbs?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And new sidewalks.
Look at
there
that.
Also.
Yeah.
Yeah,
got a whole new
absolutely.
facelift.
It's already no parking on one side, correct?
Your state highway taxes, busy at work there.
Good
All
deal.
over the place, right?
Yeah,
I move approval.
a second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Any new business? I don't have any. Sure.
One moment, please.
Oh,
In light of the storms that we've had these past few weeks, I would like to commend the Glens Falls City Police Department, the Department of Public Works, our fire department, the city. Everybody stepped up, and everybody was there to help. And the city streets were clean as quickly as humanly possible. And I am proud to say that I live here because I am proud of the men and women who were out there helping us.
So,
I agree.
thank you.
Me too, so do
I
I.
agree.
I also like to add, as far as, I've had 2 incidences in my neighborhood street within the last 2 weeks, and the police department was excellent. What I was really annoyed with was one bystander with a phone out, chirping our police officers.
While they're doing the job, huh?
Yeah, you want to know what I wanted to do with her?
No.
You're on camera.
I didn't. But
You're live.
we have people have to step up in this community, you know,
Yeah.
not chirp at them.
Yeah.
But they did a great job.
Thank you.
All hands were there.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, thank you.
City residents, let them do their job.
Yeah.
Thank you, that's all I have to say.
thank you. It is, it's what I call the Glens Falls difference. So not only, I was still here in my office when those heavy winds hit, and got the calls, and called back in my community development director so we could declare a state of emergency. The DPW superintendent was already there. Our police and fire were on the scenes before you knew what was going on. They worked all night. The next day, we had 17 streets closed down. I got called by the state emergency. It's part of the Homeland Security executive asking if Glens Falls is okay, what they could do to help. We're in the process of collecting all the bills and trying to see if we can you have to spend over a certain amount for it to qualify from the entire region, and so right now we're collecting all that from the different communities to add it up to see. So we may or may not, but the fact is that they called, people answered the call, our firefighters were amazing, our police, nobody was hurt. 17 roads closed down, right? Within 24 hours, we had 12 of the 17 back open, and within 48 hours, all the roads were back open except for one.
We had 2 nights of storms.
Yeah, that was
We
the
had
week before.
Monday evening,
Yeah.
and then we had
Or the
Tuesday.
night before,
So
yes.
Monday was just a little warm-up. Mother Nature wanted to let us know what was on its heels coming. So
Yeah, it was-
2 days of unbelievable work.
So, and what is also that Glens Falls difference, we had neighbors helping neighbors,
Yes.
lending, cutting each other's trees down. We sent, DPW went back through and cleaned up people if they could bring the debris from their yard, which is not in every community, is not necessarily a responsibility, but yet we took it on ourselves to do it, and they did. It was just fantastic. So thank you for recognizing them. We certainly
Extraordinary,
recognize them
yes.
well. Yeah, it is the Glens Falls difference.
It certainly is.
Yeah, and so thank you. Not having any other new business, under old business, we do not have an update regarding our truck routes. We do have some suggestions. We need to have them looked at and see if it's enough, and maybe go back and get maybe hold some public comment. We're trying to get, to try to figure out, we don't want to make a bunch of restrictions that we can't enforce. We don't have the ability to weigh trucks, and a lot of truck routes are by like state and federal routes or interstate, where you have the ability with the state police to weigh, it's by the weight of the truck. So we're trying to find ways to do that differently, and we just want to stop it from having massive trucks go through our backstreet neighborhoods. But delivery systems are on the rise, right? I think when many of these regulations were written too, that there wasn't such a thing as Amazon and Amazon trucks, and UPS was much smaller trucks themselves, and so it's not an easy thing. It sounds easy that we should have some identified truck routes. It is not necessarily easy in a way that it could have a meaningful, enforceable laws that would help deter some of this. Second, we don't have we've had people about the crosswalk. We've talked about Crosswalk Ridge in Washington, and AGFTC is doing a quick study and will give us a report on that. I want to do under old business, I want to review that the 2-week public comment period for the Hudson Avenue report that we had done by AGFTC. We did have some public comment. We put them on the record. We're now going to close that public comment on that, and we're going to put it on the list and meet with the engineer to see what we can implement and what we can't. Much of the 5 different recommendations, if you remember, to redo the lines, to clean up the sight line on Hudson as it meets with South, right? So we know we can do that. We'll put that on our new tree list and get those trees removed. We know that we can paint the crosswalks. That's part of that as well. We also believe that we're asking AGFTC to help us with the funds of there's two different kinds, and I'm sorry I don't remember them. I'm not an expert at traffic, but there's the pedestrian sign that you come up as a pedestrian comes and press a button and will actuate flashing lights to let them go. That we believe we can get the funding to do it right away. The second, the last of their recommendations for that intersection was what they call a hawk, right? And that is a much more expensive project. It's not necessarily implemented in this part of the country. It hasn't been. There's no hawks in New York State that we're aware of. They're used more out west. And so what we're going to do is implement those flashers and see if that addresses it and makes it more of a safe, and it reduces it, and then maybe we won't do a hawk. And if not, we can also take the complaints, or not the complaints, but the concerns. If we continue to have it be a dangerous situation, then we'll have the data to say this, and we actually have to apply to the state for permission to, remember, to implement that, we have to have more data about recorded accidents and the number of crossings. When we did the study, although we know that school kids do cross there were actually very few kids that crossed there. Only 2 during the time of the study. So we'll have to use this preliminary, see if that reduces and improves that corner, and then if not, we'll use the data of that not improvement to justify the hawk, which is basically when somebody comes up, it doesn't just flash to tell traffic there's somebody, slow down, there's somebody wanting to cross this. It literally would turn on a red light. It would go to yellow and then red and stop that traffic there. And so we'd be able to use the data to justify that and follow the traffic safety standards. Okay? So I wanted you to know we're now going to start implementing those findings of that study. And then on the School Street side, we're not going to implement any changes other than we just redid all those intersections and that the crossing of there, because the reason that we're not going to also take away the cross, if you remember, the recommendations possibly were to remove the crosswalk at Park and School Street and implement just after the entrance into the driveway, into the parking lot on School Street. The issue that we're not ready to make that change right now is because we just were notified by the hospital that they're changing their entrance into their emergency room. So no sense making that change until we see that intersection done. We have been meeting with their engineers and our engineers to make that safety change. It should address it along with the changes that we've made to the entire area. I don't know if any of you had a chance to see the
Park Street.
The Park Street, all of Elm Park, and then Elm, and the council just passed last night your recommendation to make Park and Elm a 4-way stop. And so that we're going to make those changes and then see where we end up after the hospital's done rearranging their new entrance. No sense making this change and then having them disrupt the whole area for us. Okay?
Right.
Yes.
Mayor, talking about School Street,
Yes.
and I'm curious to see what the hospital is going to do in terms of that parking area, their exit onto School Street, and then the doctor's office right across the way. Because we walk, and I talked to my husband. We went down that School Street specifically, and there's the crosswalk right at Hudson in school.
Yeah.
There's a proposed crosswalk going to be going into the doctor's office.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the crosswalk at Park in school.
That's right, yeah.
It's such a short street. You're,
Yeah, yeah.
I can't imagine.
3 crosswalks. Well,
Three.
what we know is that those 2 crosswalks that exist.
Someone's-
And that
something's
people come
gonna
out of that
change, right?
parking lot and don't use either of the 2 that are there.
Right,
So,
no, they
but
do
you're
not.
right. So the best thing that what we're doing is just putting on the hold of adding that 3rd crosswalk until we at least see
Yes.
with their changes.
Yes,
But then we
please.
need to revisit it.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Thank
Yeah, I think if they just put up an actual gate at that intersection, because what happens is people walk into the parking lot and cross the street and don't go 10 feet over.
No.
And so I don't know that we're gonna be able to change, even if we put a nice new bright crosswalk, right? That we're gonna stop the behavior of those folks just walking out of the parking lot.
You're right.
That too is a Glens Falls difference, right?
Yeah.
We have people, feeling very comfortable, and my wife gets at me all the time. She says, "You're jaywalking." I'm like, "It's Glens Falls," and I need to change that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
I do.
yeah.
I need to. Right? I'm not. I need to not become
Yeah.
part of that.
So
that problem,
comfortable. Yeah,
right?
so
I
comfortable.
need to follow. And walk down the way. Right? It's not. Anyway, so there you go. I
Thank you.
throw myself under the bus right there. So I want to have a discussion about eliminating the parking on the east side of Platt Street with Chief Smith's favorable opinion. Chief, have you had a chance to look at it? We have Jamie here, right? And so your thoughts,
Yeah.
sir?
We've only, in the last 2 years, we've only had 3 accidents on Platt Street,
Uh-huh.
and none of them in that area.
Okay.
I did take a look at the area, and I think eliminating parking on the east side of Platt Street for a certain number of feet would probably help out the local guard.
Would help.
Because of all the volunteers. If you park on the west side of the street, and there's a lot more room there, and there's not as many driveways that you block for quite a way, for quite a ways. So I think that would be a good move. You just have to determine how far up the street you want to have no parking, or only parking on that side.
Right, one side. Can you do us a favor, Chief, and take a look? I know there's a highway that Chief Schrammel had produced, and you probably, both of you have it. It's the distance, the distance of every street in the city. So can you at least bring that back to our next meeting? Or do you have a particular distance? Are you thinking the top of the hill? Do you want to make a suggestion right now?
No, just let me take a look at it and I can get a number.
Okay. Up to, I don't know if you'd use the house or if it's up to an intersection, so many feet. That would be great for the board to consider. I think no matter what we do, Jamie, we are going to need you to try your best to hold your volunteers accountable, because we're gonna end up having to tow people. Sure. And so I think that, and I think if they were gonna listen to your pleads, that they would have already. And so if we don't have a reason to not do this, and we have a request from the neighbors, and we do, being here as well, so we have a request for us to implement this law. I think that if the Board of Public Safety's, I haven't heard anybody, I'll let you talk about this in a moment, but if we're gonna do this, it's really not gonna solve the problem. Because if they're not willing to listen to you now, Jamie, and park on one side of the street, right, then they're probably not gonna be willing to, and so therefore, we're gonna change this, and then we're gonna need to enforce it. And so, and that's really gonna end up back at your problem to begin with.
Understood. We'd be happy to reinforce the message, especially when it was implemented for the first few months, with whatever signage we could at the mission and emails and verbal communication. For a
Great.
period of few months, for sure.
Great. And so, did you want to make a comment? Sure.
I was here at the last meeting.
Yeah.
And I live behind the mission.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the issue has gotten better,
Okay.
but I think it could get better me, James, call.
Right.
If we have an issue, I try to go to him. I did your recommendation, call the police department.
Great.
That was an issue, but I'll talk to the police chief about that afterwards.
Awesome.
But I think if we take it, because I know my next door neighbor, he's got a trailer. And if he's trying to get out, there's gotta be room,
Sure.
you know?
Yeah.
So I think if they push it up to maybe the bottom of the hill or to the top of the hill or something, you know, to give 4 people room. Because there's not that many trailers that people own there,
Yeah.
but like I told you, I have a truck. My next door neighbor has a trailer with a truck, and if they're parking on both sides, I can't get out.
No. No, and Hunter Street's even is more narrow than Platt. And when I back out my truck and trailer, if there's a guy behind me, it's a nightmare. And so, I do appreciate it, and I think I think that people living in narrower streets would say you're lucky, but I don't think that helps with the situation. So if we can address it, and everybody, if the council or the Board of Public Safety, if you bring that information back to us, Chief, we can actually have a resolution, and then you guys can, unless anybody has any concerns with this game plan, it's worth a shot. And at least we can say we addressed it, and then we also have some teeth to, I know, Chief, we need to address and engage a towing company anyway, probably for the first time ever, because of the, what is it, Chief, what is it that we're gonna be implementing, some snow removal programs, and where in the end we ticket them and then we ignore it, so I think that we're going to need to engage a company anyway.
Currently, right now, we have a rotation list that's set at the county.
Okay.
So all we have to do is call the county,
Oh, we do.
our dispatch center, and they will send us a tow truck, whoever is up next.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
So if it's from
Then it's
Warrensburg,
good.
they've got plenty of time to move their car.
Yes, right. If it's coming from Warrensburg, they should have plenty of time. That's a good point. Yeah. So fair enough. It's worth trying, right? And we're responding to a documented concern. And again, I think, Jamie, when it finally happens, that volunteer is going to be awful angry at you, and they can come back here, but we'll help them know that it's unsafe. And but I do appreciate you working with everybody and trying.
Our first step would be it's just a ticket, unless it's blocking the driveway.
Right.
Or on the sidewalk.
Yeah.
We have the ability to tow from there.
Yeah, yeah. My only point was they're blocking driveways at times now, and we are asking them. So now the only difference is there's going to be that sign there that they're ignoring instead of the. Anyway, it's worth a shot. If we're all in agreement there, we'll let the chief bring us a resolution, and we'll consider it at the next meeting.
Okay.
All right. That was my last of old business. Next up is Chief Smith's report.
Yeah, I have nothing new, no old business and no new business.
No new business. All right.
We're obviously busy, but what's wrong?
Great. Deputy Chief.
Same report.
Oh, same report. You're gonna. Is this the summer? Is this the summer? No report. We're at least we're. You know, we didn't have an August meeting in some of my boards, so at least we're holding the meeting. That's great. I don't believe we have a reason to go into executive
We
session.
need to make a motion to accept the report.
Oh, accept the non-report report?
Yes,
All right.
yes, sir.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you.
For both the fire and.
For both the
police,
fire
yes.
and the police department.
Yes. Okay.
I don't believe we need to go into executive session.
No?
I hope everybody's summer's going well. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you.